All right, we will go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Modernizing Financial Workspaces, Real-World Use Cases Across Any Windows Workspace. I'm Andrew with Liquidware. Thank you for joining us. Today, we'll explore how financial organizations are modernizing Windows workspaces, improving user experience, and simplifying app delivery across environments like Windows 365, AVD, Citrix, Omnissa, and physical PCs. Joining us are Jason E. Smith, our VP of Alliances and Product Marketing, and Tom Nguyen, Senior Solutions Architect. Some quick housekeeping. This session is being recorded and we'll share the replay and additional resources afterward. Feel free to drop questions into our chat or our Q&A throughout this session, and we'll do our best to get back to you. If we don't, we'll have someone reach out afterwards to address your specific question. With that, I'll pass it over to Jason to get us started.
Thank you, Andrew. And this is a webinar we've been looking forward to doing for quite a while. One of the biggest segments of all industries that our solution set resonates with is the financial services industry. And by that, we mean banking, investing, wealth management companies, insurance, real estate, tax, and accounting services. Those organizations tend to readily adopt technologies like multi-session Windows environments, the latest with Windows environments and app delivery, and problems tend to and challenges tend to be accentuated, such as app delivery, because you have a lot of knowledge workers needing to be productive because time is money, especially in the financial services industry. We always start out our webinars by speaking about what Liquidware does as a whole. So throughout today's webinar, you're going to hear a lot of use cases about how the financial services industry leverages Liquidware solutions to help deliver a better digital workspace environment. Our digital workspace solution suite's unmatched in the industry. We go beyond just simple digital employee experience or DEX to really affect the outcomes of DEX and to modify and deliver DEX directly through the following solutions: modern app delivery with FlexApp. Applications are dynamically attached. They're not installed to Windows sessions, keeping Windows base images extremely clean, making application updates very easy, eliminating timely packaging, time-consuming packaging of applications, and also helping just overall streamline applications where they're when they're needed, they're directly available by the user to remain productive. User and app management through Profile Unity really goes beyond simple profile management. It unifies the entire user environment experience, making it totally portable from OS to OS and from one way of delivering Windows to another. For example, physical, virtual to cloud-based desktops. The entire user persona follows the user immediately at logon, so they're instantly productive. DEX monitoring and optimization through Stratosphere UX allows you to monitor the user experience and literally see whether they're having a good, fair, or poor user experience. You can see that at a glance. You can see problem areas before they really turn into showstoppers. We literally color code user experience in most of our views: green, yellow, red. So therefore, you can easily start to see where user experience is starting to degrade. You can drill down to diagnose and quickly remedy user experiences. You can compare one Windows delivery method against another. For example, say you're in a Citrix environment today, and you're considering something like AVD and Windows 365 for a user or a group of users. You can baseline the environment and you can literally prove that user experience is better or not given real world usage of a platform, giving you decision support to make those big decisions whether you want to switch to a different platform. And then we have real-time DEX remediation through command control. It's a SaaS solution that's easy to set up. A quick agent gets rolled out to any Windows desktop, regardless if it is virtual, cloud, or physical, and you can see processes running on a machine. You can run a quick script. It is really a help desk professional's best friend to be able to remedy a desktop challenge as quick as possible. You can even go back in time and you can see the telemetry from a desktop session. So if you didn't get to call a person back until later in the day, they say, well, it's happening earlier in the day. That's no problem. You simply drag back in a time meter, and it will light up the things that were happening, say, before lunch or a couple hours ago. And you can quickly pinpoint what was happening in that environment and get that user on their way. Also included remote control, so you have a standardized way of accessing Windows machines, Mac machines, Linux desktops, as well as thin client OSs in there. That is our solution suite for digital workspace management, and financial institutions are using them the world over to help solve real challenges, such as have faster logins, so we can identify and resolve login delays, profile bloat, and performance issues. Stronger security, we can improve visibility into endpoint health, compliance posture, workspace risk. With our app delivery of FlexApp, you can have fewer base images, and you can reduce image sprawl. We'll prove that out in a lot of the case studies that we go through for the financial industries today. Provide a consistent user experience, as I spoke of earlier. When you log off of one machine, you log on to another. The user literally knows no difference. Their user, not just their profile, but their entire user persona has been pulled over. Access to user authored data and other things. Reduce downtime, keep user productive. Proactive monitoring through Liquidware Essentials, through the entire solution suite. Faster M&A integration. A lot of our customers are in the business of expanding, whether it's even in healthcare, but many financial institutions as well. And they need a standard way of bringing the next merger or acquisition under the umbrella of the parent company. And that's where the Liquidware solution suite that you saw on the previous slide really starts to shine. Because if you can manage user persona and instantly light it up in a new environment, the standardized environment, for example, you're moving users from one delivery platform of VDI to another, or server-based computing or AVD or 365, you can do that seamlessly. You can even go cross-domain and have standards in there, account for user authored data to make sure that none of that is left behind. And you can look at the user experience to prove that you are delivering a better user experience in the new environment, or to increase resources so that user experience does indeed become better in the new environment, whether that is selecting another version of your cloud-hosted desktop that has more horsepower for RAM and CPU storage, or if it's a matter of going directly into the data center and adding the same thing. We can save big with software license reclamation. You'll see that proved out on the coming slides too, not only knowing what applications are installed, but what applications are in use. Another thing that's very important in the financial services industry is compliance and security. Liquidware solutions help you in the following ways that are on this slide. We can invoke OAuth for any application that we deliver with FlexApp. You don't have to code or do anything else. You can, in the packaging process, just add OAuth so you have a zero trust availability of that application when and where needed. Granular app entitlement based on policy controls that can be like time of day. Or maybe if the user is out of the office, they should not have access to customer data, for example. You can invoke those policies easily with both Profile Unity and FlexApp. That goes hand in hand with the other context-aware settings that we can do for printer assignment and other things when the user is in or out of the office, or any AD group or any other condition. We give you real-time visibility into endpoint health, whether files are encrypted or not, patch information, and your overall security posture. The dynamic delivery of applications can help reduce risk, because those bloated gold images and unmanaged apps become a thing of the past when you're delivering applications with FlexApp. The rapid troubleshooting and remediation that we can provide with both Stratosphere and the real time of command control are critical for the industry, because time is money, as we spoke earlier. And of course, our strong compliance posture.
Yeah, and Jason, if I can add one more thing to this slide, we don't have a use case slide for this, but going back to the context aware, that's a very dynamic context aware filter, which you spoke of previously. I had a user, a customer with a use case that, user logs in the machine, we detect that it's on the internal network. They can run their applications as normal, but then once we detect that they've left the network and they're in a work from home situation, we OAuth and zero trust that app, and then we also on top of that force it to go through a different session as well.
Yeah, our context aware settings are unparalleled. If you can think of a rule for making something available or not, just about guarantee that that can be created within the solution because it's built on years of requests from customers. Specific IP address, for example, Wi-Fi address range, a location or a building or anything of that nature. So yeah, we do a lot of business also with the federal government. So we have to have the strongest compliance in place, SOC 2, ISO certifications, and we have a trust center where you can go for more information. It's literally the URL that's highlighted there is trust.liquidware.com if you want more information on the compliance and certifications that we hold. All right, we're going to move into some exciting things in here where we're showing the use cases of how organizations just like yours, the people attending today's webinar, have used our solution sets in here. We'll focus on Stratosphere UX first, and then we'll go over to Profile Unity and Flex App, how those solutions have been used. Tom, would you like to take a look at telling the people about this, how this major investment firm?
Yeah, absolutely. So we worked with a very large or a medium to large investment company. They were migrating from one version of Windows to another, and this is it both in their physical endpoints and in their VDI. So they did a blanket. What happened was, with the addition of features like active desktop, active setup, and then, you got your modern start menu. They started to see slowness. So what we were able to do was we brought in Stratosphere UX, we monitored their environment, and then we were able to, on a very macro level, understand what was exactly happening at login, which domain controllers it was talking to, what scripts were running, what group policy settings, are they connecting to old or obsolete printers and things like that. So by identifying all of those legacy artifacts, it came out to be about 40% of their environment had some legacy artifacts. So we were able to pinpoint that, reduce that, and kind of just get them going where they needed to go. And now they're in a very good spot to confidently continue to roll out their environment.
Yeah, and the ways that we saved over there, the results were pretty astounding. And these are actually proved out. These are ROI results that we help monitor when we look at what we can solve in any of our customers, and we can break those down for you too during the proof of concept phase on what we believe we will save in there. So being able to speed up those slow logins really created more productive users, and the overall delivery of those and the seamless migration really also saved the time to value in there of taking advantage of, like, for example, Windows 11 really made the difference in this particular account. This next one, Tom, I know was a customers directly of yours, and one that you have helped out.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear about that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one was really fun. We had a blast doing it because I mean I'll be honest, I was nervous too because I spoke to the customer and I was like, yeah, you saw Stratosphere UX, we can tell you how to route size, and then I sat with the CFO. The CFO was like, I think you're lying to me. You just want to sell me software. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, yeah, let's prove it out. Let's roll out your environment with Stratosphere UX. I'll monitor your usage. And so what we did was they were roughly at about 2 million year over year on their Azure AVD operational spend. So we were able to gather information based upon their workloads. This was a mortgage company, so we understood, what their loan officers are doing, processors, underwriters. And then we went in and we said, well, if you use this machine class instead of this other machine class in Azure, you get a higher CPU core count, faster clock speed, less things waiting in the queue, and you're going to be able to get more users in a Windows 11 multi-session environment in Azure AVD. And then we also put Process Optimizer on top of that, where we can, dynamically, grant access to the CPU cores in AVD to intelligently deprioritize stuff that's in the background, or SCCM updates or any Intune updates in the background, and then give more processor to the foreground. As a result, we reduce their need for VDI session hosts by about 30%, dropping them from 2 million to about 1.4 million a year, which was, after a year of implementation, I went back and spoke to the CFO, and I was terrified to walk into that meeting, to be honest, because I didn't know what was going to happen. It was a very quick 2-minute meeting. The CFO looked at me, he looked at the numbers, he's like, "Great job, guys. We're exactly where we want to be." And that was the quickest meeting I ever attended.
Yeah, you brought up something that that really makes a difference in a lot of our customers, and that they don't realize. Stratosphere UX doesn't really take action. It really provides all the data you need to pinpoint what is going on in an environment, with one exception, and that is what Tom was speaking about, and that's the Stratosphere UX Optimizer. And the way that it can extend the life cycle of PCs and even servers in a multi-session environment is incredible, because it can give the user a faster experience by bringing and giving more attention to applications in the forefront automatically. And it's something that is just a checkbox and can literally save millions of dollars across 1,000 users or more, because you can extend the life cycle of a PC by 1 or more years oftentimes. So pushing a four-year recycle to a 5-year is really saving a lot of money out of the gate with even that one solution, with that one feature set.
Yeah, and since you brought that up, I can recall another customer where we just interacted with this year with the rising cost of memory. So they had a big hardware refresh and they didn't want to pay the extra memory. So with Process Optimizer, we're able to extend their hardware refresh by another year to hopefully have memory prices go back down by then. Fingers crossed.
Right. So it's not always just the entire PC, but memory
Right.
too. And that is one of the most costly things in today's PCs. All right. Moving on to this mid-sized financial firm. Both FlexApp and Stratosphere were used in this particular account. And they really wanted to take a look at getting a handle on the software licenses that they have out there for all their third-party applications. And, so just like the entire world, things cost more and more every day. And if you can save money on something, you tend to want to, right? And you tend to want to be armed with the data that you need when your software licenses come up for renewal. Are we really using these licenses? How do we know, right? So that's where Stratosphere starts to shine. It knows not only applications installed, but it can know applications in use. And then once you have that type of information, you can go even a step further and use our FlexApp solution to start to more efficiently deliver the applications as well. So when your software license renewal comes up, you simply go to your Stratosphere report that you may have run every month or so, and you have the data in hand to show that licensed vendor that, no, you know what, we're not even using 60% of these licenses. We're licensed concurrent or whatever, and we only need X number. And that also starts to help you reap the benefits, as you'll see on the coming slides here, how you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions in some cases, on software license renewals alone. So what happens is Stratosphere runs in the background, collects this information while it's doing its user experience data collections as well. And you can run the reports in there to know applications that are installed versus were they really used over a period of time, right? So you say, has it even been used over the last year? And you're giving the user the real benefit of the doubt there. Did they open Adobe Creative Suite at all for 12 months? And that's just an example, right? But you may find that they didn't. And there's a great number of users that didn't. And I don't mean to pick on Adobe Creative Suite, except it is expensive to license that. And you can save a lot of money if you can identify the users not using it. And any software is that way, right? So that's the type of reports that it can give you. So once you have that data in hand, then you can start to think about how you can identify applications that are used by majority of users, or on a departmental basis to start to say, you know what, there's a better way of delivering these apps as well. So you've saved money by having the information in hand with Stratosphere and the usage data, and then FlexApp kicks in to help you streamline the delivery of that application, perhaps to users just in time, perhaps on demand. So a user doesn't even have that application installed, but can self-select that application under something like the Intune company portal. You could make applications available there. And then if a user needs it, they go browse and they double click and they use it. And you'll have that usage data also for the following time period, whatever you want, months to a year. And you can run data to see if anyone ever used that as well. So it's a new way of thinking about, are you using the licenses you have in hand? Have they really been used? And should some of them even be maybe self-selected, or an app store approach, which FlexApp can give you with apps on demand? That's something that we innovated with our container technology there. So this one customer really saved, they identified 9,500 unused software licenses. You'll see the backup for that on the coming screen here. They saved over almost $500,000 in 1 year by deploying applications and reclaiming unused application expenditures. And now FlexApp is delivering many of those applications, either on demand or just in time as a container and not installed. So you get those benefits as well. Here's a look, Tom, if you want to take a crack at that same number we talked about on the previous screen that they saved.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the detailed data that we collect. Meaning, we work with software asset management teams to understand, what their renewal costs are, how many of the licenses they own. And then we backtrack that with our data that says, well, Sally in accounting used it once last year. She only used it for 2 seconds, so she might have accidentally opened it and closed it. So we have that kind of granular information to help organizations make an informed decision on should they renew licenses or not. Another hidden use case that I fell upon 2 years ago with this is we had a company that didn't know who the application owners were. So in order to figure out who app owners were, we pinged the people with the highest usage per application and asked them who they normally call for support.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at this report here, because not only do we tell you, let's just keep picking on Adobe here and say Creative Cloud, which is that first one up there. The annual cost you can see is $720,000 for that, right? No, is it 720? So it was 720, and then instances deployed. Literally, you had it out there. 218 people have it out there, but only 34 of them were used. The potential savings there is nuts, right? And then what the customer actually is going to decide is to err on the side of caution, still giving some of those licenses out there. And so your year one savings out there is $49,000 for one application, right? You look at that aggregated down at the bottom, it's easy to get to that list of $485,000 that you saved in this one for this one customer here. And even more money can be saved that's year one savings. Think about the year 2 and year 3 savings. This is savings going forward that's going to benefit your organization. Now, I want to draw your attention to one other thing. You want to think in terms of, are you delivering this app the best way that you can deliver it? Maybe FlexApp can deliver it. And oftentimes our customers say, I love FlexApp. We've got it. We need to know where to start. This report actually lets you know where to start, because you start to see instances used. So you look at instances used of anything here, and you'll see that Slack, for example, has 123 users out there. You've got something out there with some of these are tools. So you want to look at user productivity applications like Creative Cloud, for example. 34 were used. How many of those, and how should I be delivering that application? Should I be delivering it on demand, or should I be delivering it in the base image, or should I be delivering it, with FlexApp at boot time on this machine and not obtaining the base image? So with the sheer numbers there, you start to see where you should focus your attention, and the color codes help in that way as well, because you have unused licenses there and it draws your attention to that. So overall, one of the biggest things people look at when they're trying to save cost is, can I really see applications in use? And a lot of monitoring vendors only look at applications installed. We give you both, so you have the best data going forward.
And Jason, you mentioned FlexApp a couple of times. Let me give a quick high-level functionality of how FlexApp works with Company Portal. So if a user needs an application, and let's pick on Adobe, not because we want to, but because we've been talking about it. Say a customer needs Adobe, they go to Company Portal, they click on it, it pushes a fully portable FlexApp application of Adobe. So when they double click on after the deployment from Company Portal, they don't have to reboot. They don't have to go through the installation process. It just layers itself into the OS on the fly, and it just opens and mounts and starts to run without needing reboot or IT intervention.
It's a really elegant app store approach when you do it that way, and it's something that many customers are already leveraging Company Portal for other things, and so it's ideal to do that with FlexApp. All right, we're going to move into looking at more pure Profile Unity and FlexApp side. A lot of that was Stratosphere heavy, but then we went into FlexApp towards the end of that one. And in the next few slides, I spoke about Profile Unity earlier, but I do want to level set us a little bit more. Tom gave a great intro there that really opened the door for FlexApp, and to speak about it a little bit. The need for modern app delivery is stronger than ever, really. We would have thought, probably a decade or two ago that we would be off of Windows applications, but today's enterprises are more reliant on them than ever for key applications. And in a lot of ways, they still are the backbone of a lot of organizations. So with device sprawl out there happening daily, BYOD sounds great. Bring your own Windows device, but are you going to manage it or not? Some organizations actually manage the BYOD device if it's purchased with a company, and they have to because of compliance reasons. So then you end up managing that device a little more loosely, and then the one more tightly, the Windows Cloud PC or AVD session or something like that. But regardless, users tend to have more and more devices, and you may be asked to manage those. Slow app deployment continues to be a thing. Intune is great, only until it's not, right? It could take a long time to push out an application to a lot of users. Intune's actually installing applications by default, file by file by file, and it's pushing those bits across the network on a schedule that it determines is best. So an application you push out today may not be there for even 2 to 3 days if you're pushing it out for lots of users. So it can take a lot of time, and then the packaging and making sure all that's lined up can take a lot of time as well. Base image overload, putting everything in the base image and then trying to manage things that way is not a good option a lot of times, because when you have an OS change or you've got the applications that need to be updated, you have to modify that base image every time. And you're tattooing that base image. Now, I'll get to more of that in a minute about tattooing the base image and how that causes Windows degradation over time. Virtual, physical, and cloud desktops need unified app delivery. And I don't know if you noticed on that first slide where we talked about our products, everything that Liquidware has works across every Windows environment, regardless of how that desktop's delivered. So if you switch users from a Citrix environment to an Omnissa environment, or an Omnissa environment to a Citrix environment, or to AVD or 365, it does not matter. Apps will follow the user. They don't have to be repackaged, and apps can go cross OS. They don't have to be repackaged. So it eliminates a lot of that work there, because that container will follow the user and work across all those. If you have a device that's lost, user productivity alone can cause a big detriment in your organization. Getting that user back up and running very quickly, not to mention being able to make sure that those licenses are secure and not used by other people to access user data, user customer data and things like that, which would put you out of compliance, is a good thing to have something that will take care of that. Zero trust, for example, we spoke about earlier, making any application OAuth at the end with a few clicks is a great solution set there. And then legacy solutions are end of life, right? AppV from Microsoft was a good solution. It is partially end of life right now. AppV server's gone. Our solutions can continue to deploy those, and then AppV itself is really without innovation going forward. It is just simply maintained. It's in a maintenance mode. So you need something more innovative, something that takes care of these newer ways to deliver Windows workspaces. FlexApp never installs applications. They're attached. They're delivered dynamically through a portable app container that work across any type of OS, any type of delivery method for Windows. It far exceeds Microsoft MSIX, which can be good for certain use cases, but unless the vendor offers you an MSIX package, most of the time you're going to have challenges. Converting something to an MSIX package is where oftentimes it falls down, because the vendors of the world, on average, do not push out MSIX packages. They still are putting out MSI by default in other formats. It is the leading solution in the industry right now. FlexApp is. Innovations that have led the market, like the click to attach technology we talked about, like the ability to have an app work across without breaking every time you change an OS or a platform, and it works with 90 to 100% of your applications that you want to deliver this way. Instead of putting apps in a base image and having base image sprawl, they're kept separate, and that's what the bottom of the slide shows. Dynamic app containers that are assigned to any OS just in time. So that user in the far right bottom corner gets the apps that they need, in this case, those 8 Flex apps that they need for them to be productive, that follows them, that attach to that Windows session, whatever that is, as soon as they log on, or with a little stub icon that gives them a click to attach application on demand. The base image then, and I was going to elaborate on that a little bit, the base image then is not tattooed with the application. In other words, it's not traditionally installed. Apps are on like a light switch, or they're off like a light switch. They look native to the OS. They're not actually there. So when you back them out, you're literally turning them off. And in that way, the Windows session itself will remain much more healthy and run without the degradation that you get that's sometimes in the industry called Windows rot. So Tom, we've got a global insurance and investing leader that streamlined app delivery across 75,000 users here. And I know I called out you, but I think I was a little bit more involved in this particular one. They had 1,000 Windows applications, over 1,000, and it had become a real chore, because the Windows, every time they updated an image, they had to think about, is it going to cause applications to break? Is it going to cause applications to have to be reinstalled? And when there's a significant Windows OS, of course, applications have to be reinstalled. It became a huge challenge. Windows performance degradation with applications installed, uninstalled, et cetera, became a big challenge. And then app packaging challenges, making sure that they're ready to go in Intune, was time consuming. And it is a big Citrix account to date. And they had base image sprawl. They had what was shown on that previous slide. They had multiple Windows, Citrix Windows virtual app servers specifically imaged per department. So they had the applications they needed in each one. And then at that, they had to have redundancy in there for business continuity and disaster recovery and failover. So they'd have multiple ones in there, and they couldn't streamline, just use generic Windows OS images in there. And FlexApp opened up the door to give them a new way of delivering not only the Citrix environment, but also their Windows 365 environment, which is not mentioned on the slide, but I know personally, this is one of the largest Windows 365 environments in the world. So FlexApp now delivers hundreds of those applications, and they are ramping up even as we speak, week by week, to add more applications in there that FlexApp containerizes, that are attached with VHDX containers, and that's the way that FlexApp works. And the result is it's keeping base images clean. Even their Windows 365 machines are kept clean. So if there's an error in there and they need to really reset even those, applications will come back as soon as the user logs on. They're attached, not installed. It makes applications easy to update because our packaging console can easily update applications and push them out at the next time interval, such as the reboot process. And then they are easily containerized through the automated packaging. We're not going to go into depth in this today, but when our customers truly have hundreds of applications, our automated packaging is uncompared in the industry. Literally, you can set it on a Friday and it can go through hundreds of applications installers. And by Monday morning, they're ready to test and deploy. It keeps their Citrix-based images to a minimum, which also keeps their Citrix farm, their in-app farms and virtual app farms to a minimum in there. So really big account. I know I say down at the bottom 30,000 users. It actually had higher than 75,000 users in there. That was an artifact left over from another one. But the results are a reduction in base images by a whopping 75%. They can now use a more generic base image in their Citrix environment. They don't have to have as many, and the next bullet goes along with that, a reduction in their virtual app servers by 20%, by at least 20%. They can reduce that number down that they had for failover because they are able to steer more users over to the more generic looking base image. And then the applications are attached for those users just in time, and they're kept out of the base image. When they packaged apps, it's really over the old way of doing it and getting them ready to go to be installed file by file. This has saved thousands of man hours because of their packaging automation. And this has offered a timely delivery of apps compared to Intune, which can take days, to at least being 5 times faster. And really, it's more than 5 times. It is applications instantly turned on at logon. And when you no longer want that application there, they're turned off. And that is a lot faster than a file-by-file installer that can take up to 20 to 30 minutes for one app in the background and waiting on Intune to push out. So this was a big success story for this customer. And if you want more information, you can contact us personally. We'll even give you an idea better who it was and if they're very similar to your organization. Shifting gears to the next one, Tom, would you like to speak to this regional financial institution?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Profile Unity and FlexApp, we were able to, it was a pretty large financial institution that they were, utilizing a lot of storage in their Azure AVD environment. So to eliminate from profile bloating, from persistent and non-persistent OS disk size bloating, we were able to move the user authored and profile data out to an Azure file share, because with Profile Unity, we're able to compress the information into our proprietary zip format. So we compress it and it utilize less space out on the network storage, and also removing it from the OS disk of 2,000 users, lowering their storage costs. Because even though a machine's deallocated, you still have to account for the cost of holding that OS disk for when it's needed. And we're able to extrapolate that from the profile, and with FlexApp, do the same with the application installation. So just magnify profile information and multiply that with applications installed versus layered in with FlexApp over 2,000 users. We were able to reduce their monthly storage cost by roughly 23,000 a month. So that was pretty major as far as operational expenses go.
Yep. And then when they invoked FlexApp to deliver that, we were able to demonstrate savings of over $331,000 annually with an application footprint elimination on the profile size reduction. And so that really, really added to the cost savings there. Here's some of the backup of that account and the actual storage costs that were saved in here. By eliminating the application footprint and having FlexApp deliver the application as containers, it's saved on storage, is in addition to the profile reduction size. And these are per machine. So unbelievably, the storage cost was running away in this is a Citrix on Azure account. Also had formerly Citrix app layering in it as well, which caused a lot more bloat. And you say you're saving over $2,000 on some of these machines. One of them, you're saving almost $6,000 on these machines for storage cost alone. Unbelievable savings there, just with a select number of users that were picked for this resource group. So when you aggregate that across the organization, it was even more than that. This is the same account where you're seeing the net savings approach almost $1 million in here for the net savings, and the executive summary that we were able to give IT for this organization to show in savings upstream.
Yeah, Jason, this just to touch base, that report, go back real quick. This is a report that we run for our customers, so it's nothing that it's what we usually run quarter over quarter. And we retool the cost savings and the total cost of investment as well by utilizing this tool for our customers. So this is just part of our blanket service. It's not an additional professional or anything. It's just what we do.
Awesome. And a lot of the data out of Stratosphere can actually come through Power BI, and that's what you're seeing actually here. And we boast the industry's best, most flexible API in there, and also compatibility with Power BI, getting data over to ServiceNow reports and things of that nature to be able to integrate the data as you see fit, and also create custom dashboards for your organization. So if it's something that you saw in here, and you wonder if we can provide data and usage data for a specific use case that you have in mind, we'd love to talk to you about that more. You can reach out to us in the questions here, and I want to start to open that up for questions for anything that we discussed today, whether it was on the product side or the cost saving side or a use case side. If you'd like to ask us those, if you'd like to ask us about trends in AVD and 365, feel free to ask us even now, and submit the questions into the chat window. While we wait to see if any of those questions came in, I want to show you an easy way that you too can test FlexApp. And I believe Andrew can put this URL that you see on the coffee cup into the window here shortly, into the chat window, so you can click through. But FlexApp has an interesting container format that takes it to another level and gives you everything you need for an application on one executable file. You can test those in seconds, literally, over the time it takes you to drink a cup of coffee. And that's what the tongue-in-cheek reference here is that you can grab that URL there, you can put in an email, and then you'll have access to several applications that you can download the container, double click on them, and they will run. Those are the same types of containers that we talked about that we can make on demand in the Intune company portal and in other ways. But in full production, on average, FlexApp containers are brought in at boot time, login time, or as needed on a departmental basis. So yes, it's easy to test FlexApp. It's the industry's leading solution for attaching applications, not installing them. Tom, I see we have a question in here about FS Logics. So there's a lot of talk today about Profile Unity, but we're running FS Logics. We've had some issues with Cloud Cache. How can you help us solve that? Would we need to remove FS Logics?
Yeah, absolutely. We can resolve that in one of two ways. So it's dealer's choice. If you prefer Cloud Cache, which I kind of don't recommend because from what I've seen in the industry that it's problematic, what we can do is we run in business continuity mode alongside FS Logics, meaning If for some reason your FSLogix container is empty, we're going to see that it's empty. We're going to know that yesterday it had a bunch of stuff in it. And then we're going to say, oh, hey, let me put all your stuff back. Looks like something happened to your FSLogix container. Maybe it had to be deleted due to corruption or something. So that's one way. If our customers, really love FSLogix and really love Cloud Cache, then we go that route just to give them that extra security blanket. Second option is the one I normally go with is Profile Unity has the ability to containerize an entire profile just like FSLogix, except we're multi-threaded, and we have the ability to run multi-session in the same data center. So with Cloud Cache, you're caching between different cloud repositories on the Microsoft side, but we run multi-session locally, meaning we are connecting to multiple locations. What we do is we just spin up a child VHD disk and then we merge it together once all the sessions are closed based upon last write wins. Does that answer your question?
I believe that did answer their question. Nick actually has a related question here. Can you be logged? Can you be logged onto two workstations at the same time using Profile Unity? And I said it's related because the way you just ended that response was about last write wins.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I can expand on that as well. The answer is yes. And you can do it not just with two or more workstations, but two or more workstations with different OSs. So you can log into server-based computing 2022, or you can log into Windows 10, Windows 11, and we'll take all that data and we'll save it where it belongs and we'll restore it. And whenever they log into the next spot.
That's great. Yep, we actually minimize last write wins better than just about anybody in the industry. We can do a trigger. A lot of times the profile will be written back at log off by default, but we can put a time interval in there that says write back this part of app data every so many minutes with a trigger point. And when you're doing that, you're able to synchronize that and keep that minimized, because you can write it back or you can save it back to each endpoint, and that'll happen in the background if you really want to minimize last write wins. Last write wins doesn't become too big of an issue because you're not dealing with user authored data. You're only dealing with user settings. So honestly, by default, a lot of our customers don't take it that far, but we can take it that far and further minimize last write wins and say when you can also do it on an application, a trigger point based on application close. So when I close winword.exe, which is Microsoft Word, right? Save the Microsoft Word app data. And when I open it on another machine, check to make sure it's the latest one. You can also do things like that.
Yeah, and to touch base on FSLogix and not to pick on FSLogix, but it's in there. I know like a lot of users use app masking with FSLogix. We have that ability, but we take that one step further as well for the security posture. We can not only hide, but if you want to leave the executable there for certain users who do have access, we can deny access based upon all our dynamic filters that we spoke of in the beginning of the meeting of the webinar. And we can also pop up messages where it's helpful is say you have an application you want to retire in 1 month. You don't want to just pull the rug out. You can pop up messages from Profile Unity and application rights management saying, hey, so we're gonna stop using this application in a month. You're allowed to run it for another 30 days, but after that we're going to take it away. So it kind of helps ease the pain and ease the user adoption as you sunset applications.
Yeah, Nick said that's awesome because they have that problem all the time with FSLogix about the challenge of the two, of logging onto the two. Yeah, our portability, we can run with FSLogix too. So you can leave FSLogix in, and our portability rule set can keep two of those in sync. So if that's your challenge of keeping two different profiles in sync, we can work with that. We have our own profile disk, which is very much like FSLogix, a little bit different, but we can actually run with that too. Got another question here, and I'll take this one. The question is, I see you have some integration with Citrix Web Studio. Yes, we do. So FSLogix, FlexApp. FlexApp in specifically our format called FlexApp 1, which is how you can test these applications here. This It's easy to make a FlexApp 1. When you're packaging, you check another box. It'll give you our FlexApp Core, which works mostly on the network, is what it was designed to do, but can still go offline. And you check another box, just give me a FlexApp 1, a very dynamic container that can be deployed by any means necessary, including Intune, including through Citrix Web Studio. They integrated with us to be able to point to a directory. It has all your FlexApp 1 containers on it and deploy them directly through Citrix Web Studio. And you would have the rights to do that through Entra ID, Active Directory, or simple groups through there. You can have more context awareness if you use our management console. But for the Citrix administrator that doesn't want to have to go touch another console, it is a big win because everything's needed is in there. Alvin has a question. He says, if we have a share in Azure File Share, can we have an HA type of setup? So if a region like East US is down, can we set up something like West?
Yeah, absolutely. So what Azure's going to do is Azure's going to sync the data, or you can do DFSR with that, but I prefer using Azure to sync that data between the two regions. And then what we do is we understand what region you're logging into, and we tell it to grab the data from the closest Azure File Share. That way you're not jumping between regions to get your data, and it's always sub-millisecond closer to the user.
Awesome. So we are just about out of time, but he's got an extended part, so we need something to sync the data.
Yes, you will. That's one thing we will not do, is we will not auto sync the data. We can point to 2 different locations to look for data, but we won't sync it for you.
Yep, there's several tools on the market, including Peer Software. PEER Software is an alliance partner of ours that we point to in cases like that if you'd like the advanced syncing. All right, so Andrew's going to wrap us up in the next couple of slides. We had this slide we could have been displaying the whole time. We do want to mention that we have a Slack community out there. You don't have to be a Liquidware customer. You can also ask us questions just like you asked today about anything in the industry, about any platform in the industry, because we touch probably more enterprises across the board than a lot of other vendors. So we can give specific advice by experts that we have out there, just like Tom. So join our Slack community if you get a chance. We'd love to have you in there. And from time to time, we give away Lego kits and prizes to the community over there for different things.
So that wraps up today's webinar. A big thank you to Jason and Tom, and thank you all for joining us today. As mentioned in the beginning, we'll be sending the recording and additional resources in our follow-up communications, so keep an eye out for that.
Awesome.
Thanks again, everyone, for being here. We'll see you at the next webinar.
Thanks for participating, everyone. We appreciate your presence in the webinar. And if we can be of any help in any way, reach out at any time at info.liquidware.com.